Welcome to the public home. If you haven't figured out how to get to the site yet, if you go to vote.indy.gov or sos.indy.gov, you'll see banners on those pages that will take you to the login pages for both the campaign finance system and the statement of interest system. So I encourage you to do that if you are unsure of where that is, or those links are also provided in the email that came out to you. Both sites have very similar functionality, and so I'm just going to walk you through the major areas on the public side so you can see what the public is seeing. So you'll see these tiles in the middle of the home screen. They actually take you to the same areas that are up here in the main menu bar. So I'm just going to walk us through that. On the public side, the candidates and committees area, if you click on committee overview, you'll notice these pie charts in our different sections. These are just a quick overview of who's filed in the system. So you can see we have 269 candidates and candidate committees, 111 committees and PACs, and 97 party committees or district committees. And then if you look on the top here, you can see these tabs that run across the top. If you click on any of them, they just include the candidate or the filing information for each of those different segments within North Dakota law. So the committee PAC requirements are out here. What do you report? How much do you report? When does certain filing things kick in for each of those different committee types? Above that, you see I'm in the candidate or committee overview tab up here right under our logo. The tab right next to it is candidates and committees. If you click on that, it's going to let you search any of the filers that are in the system. And pretty much all of our pages, even on the backside when Erica gets you logged in, have some sort of filter. The filter allows you to kind of parse down information. So if we want to search for a candidate name, I can search for Hal, and I can quickly and easily find Michael. Or I can search for, gosh, I think that candidate's name was Tim. Is Tim in here anywhere? So I just search for anybody with the word TI. Now I'm going to take that out to Timothy, and you can see it shortens those search results really quickly. And you can use these in combination. So if I want to know who Timothy from 25 or 26, or what different type of committee, I can also search that way. Areas will also have this advanced filter. If you click that, you may have extra options in this advanced filter. So if you really wanted to know somebody's party, you could click that, and now you can see I have that party drop down over here as well. So those tools will be available in most of the screens as you go through the system. Another feature that'll kind of be in most streams is this clear all. So if you have a filter, so you can see right now I still have Timothy in the candidate name and it's down here. I can either X that out to clear that filter, or I can just hit clear all, and it'll take away any searching criteria that is in there. And if I ever want to export, you'll notice over here right below that filter, the export button. That will allow me to export any information that I pull into this screen through my searching if I wish to. The other tab in the candidates and committee areas is violations. So if you would ever have a late filing, miss a deadline, and have a payment due, that will reflect out here to the public as well. On the back side of the system, you're able to make a payment and clear that, and then it will show as being resolved on the public side. The contributions area. This is exactly what you think. It's a place to view contributions and expenditures. Those same tabs appear at the top. You're going to see those same graphs that take information and report it. You can see for those committee types that have to report contributions and expenditures, the pie charts are updating for those. And then similar functionality, if I click on contributions, I can see all contributions that were made. I can use those same advanced filters if I want to filter by a range or a place. And I can search and look for that. So if I want to see all committee PACs who have received contributions, I just select that. I can search. If I want to whittle that down, I can say, oh, I really only wanted political action committees. Hit search again, and it will wind it down by that. You can see transaction totals, year-to-date totals, etc. If I want to click on any one committee or PAC, there's a link. As you can see, if I click on that, it's going to take it to like a summary page for your committee or PAC. So people can see who can they contact, who's the agent for your PAC. They can look at contributions and expenditures only related to your specific PAC, or any filings you have made, such as your year-end report. And I can do that same thing from the graph. You'll see over here this year-end report. If I click it, it's going to pull up a PDF first page, which is a summary. So this is a report from the Bismarck Area Republican Council. You can see a summary of what they've reported, and then the following pages will go through both lump sum and itemized contributions that need to be reported for that particular group or committee. Let me get back over here. And then the same thing in the expenditures tab, exact same thing, only related to expenditures. And then if there are any independent expenditures that someone has made, those will also be reflected out here. And then that report I just showed you can also be found under the Access Reports area. You can click on Filed Reports and you can see everyone who's filed a report. Specifically, use the filters to drill down into that. Data download lets you take out big lumps of data. So if you just wanted all the contributions or all the expenditures for a certain year, you'll be able to grab that here. And then last but not least, we have not yet archived, there's archived reports over in the old system. So we haven't moved that data over. We're hoping to do between now and 2028 work to get a portion of that data moved over. But until then, this archived reports will take you back to the old campaign finance filing system to be able to research anything in there. And then just news and resources. As you get into your system, there'll be a little notification bell at the top that has any news that we've put out for you in the system. So you can see here, we're talking about upcoming training, the help library, and prior year's reports. Those same things will be in your side as well, along with any information that's specific to a PAC. The help library is a great resource. So earlier we had the question about a PDF. I didn't get it. I want to download it. Any PDF you may want is in here. So you can see a filer quick start guide. That is a little resource for you to be able to understand how to log into the system and start filing. And then we've got specific filing guides for PACs, petition committees, etc., which give you screen by screen shots of everything Erica's going to cover. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Erica. She's going to show you where to sign in and sign up and log in. And we'll get into the actual guts of the system.
Great. Thanks, Sandy. So when you land in CFR, Campaign Finance Reporting System, CFRS is the fun acronym. This is the homepage you log in or you land on. Sandy just walked through all of those awesome search capabilities that the public can look at without having to log in. You as filers do need to log into the system. So where you do that is under the sign in, sign up. And you are using the public login. The SOS login is for Secretary of State admin staff. So any filers are using this public login link. So you're going to go to the public login. And the information entered here is your North Dakota public login. This is the same if you have a hunting license, a fishing license, do any work with DOT, things like that. This is what you are going to use. Your username is going to be the same across all of those entities, and your password is going to be the same across all of those entities. If you are unsure which username you signed up with when you registered in the campaign finance system, please reach out. We do have that information that we can share with you. However, we can't help you with a password. So any password situation would have to go through the forgot password link. But we can share username information with you. If you don't have an account or a North Dakota login, you can simply create an account before registering. Okay, so I'm going to sign in. And this is where you're going to land when you first log in. So if you have an established committee or candidate, PAC, whatever, in our system, that is going to appear here. So if you are linked to any of those accounts, those will appear here. If you know you have an account or you have an account from the old system, but it's not appearing here, please let us know. We can kind of work in the back end on the administrative side to ensure that we get that information carried over to the new system or get you linked to the appropriate account. Okay. If you are coming in and you have never had a campaign finance account in North Dakota before, you are going to go to, instead of your My Committees, you are going to go to Dashboard. And you are going to come over here to the new registration area, and you can register any of your committee's candidates over in this area. Okay, it's very simple. I'll just kind of take you into the area really quickly, and then we'll come back out. So if you are registering a new committee or PAC, you're obviously going to select committee or PAC, add new registration. And then you're going to select your committee subtype. That can be a multi-candidate committee, a political action committee initiated, or initiated petition or ballot measure committee. We'll do political action committee, and then you just go through. Registration year would be 2025, since that's what you're registering for. Committee name, acronym, this is all just contact information. You're going to go through and register and submit. That information is going to come to our office for approval. So anybody who registers a new committee, we do have to approve that. Really, the only thing that we're looking for is duplications in the system to make sure you're not registering multiple committees. Okay, so that's how you register a new committee. If you have one that's already existing, under the My Committees tab, all of these are clickable. So as you can see, as I'm hovering over those, I can click into any one of these. I used Founding Fathers in our last one. Today we're going to use Down with the Crown. We have a theme. It's a American Revolution theme, if nobody picked up on that. So after you click in to your committee, Down with the Crown, you can see your year-end report that's due. If you see nothing here, please reach out to us. We want to make sure that if you don't see a report, a year-end report here, when you click in, we can easily fix that and assign that to you. So reach out if there's no report sitting out here in your immediate to-dos. You can see up here in the upper right-hand corner, here's my user information and the committee I'm logged in. If you are managing multiple committees, this is helpful to know which committee you're working in. Okay. Along the left-hand side, you have your navigation menu. Report dashboard obviously has your current report and any upcoming reports that are due. Transaction dashboard, this is just a snapshot of information you've entered into the system. So your total contributions, expenditures, how many contributors and recipients and business and organizations you've had here. You can also add from this screen too, kind of a choose your own adventure, but we'll continue down the navigation menu. Enter transactions. This is where you are going to enter the information. Okay, so you're going to have your contributions and expenditures that you enter here. So down the left-hand side, and then your tabs across the top. Transaction overview does not have any information yet, but as we enter information, you'll see info populate here. Okay. And then right now, I'm just going to show you the contributors and recipients page. So contributors and recipients, this is where you're going to enter any individuals that have contributed to you. Okay. So if there is a registered candidate or a registered committee or a registered party within our system, you do not need to enter them again. The guidance that we're giving as far as candidates is if a candidate gives to you and it comes from their candidate campaign account, use that candidate information. If they gave to you from an individual account, from them personally, you would want to enter them as an individual here. So I'll show you how to do that really quickly. We'll just add individual. I'll just add myself in here as an individual. So let's say I gave to Down with the Crown. External reference ID. If you use the import function, which isn't quite available yet, it will be available for our pre-primary report. So if you plan on using that import and upload feature, you could assign these individuals reference IDs, and we will be providing more information on that as that gets developed and flushed out. Right now, you don't need to worry about it, but you will need it if you plan on using that in the future. Okay. Contact information. And then employment details. The only time you need to fill out employment details for individuals is if they contribute over $5,000. So if they give you a $10,000 check, you're gonna want to fill out those employment details here. If they gave you a $500 check, you don't need to gather that information until they hit that $5,000 in the aggregate. Okay. You can always add it later, and the system, once they hit that threshold, the system will warn you that employment information is needed. So it really is up to you if you want to enter it as you're entering individuals, or if you want to wait until they hit those thresholds to capture that information. Okay. Then I'm just going to hit save. I'm not going to enter employment information. So you can see I am now entered in my contributors and recipients list. And we consider this as kind of like an address book that you can pick from, right? So this is personal to your account. Nobody else sees this information that you enter in the individual account, but it is always there for you. So if you have repeat contributors, your information is always saved in there, so you don't have to enter that information every time you enter a contribution from an individual. Okay, so this is where you enter people into your address book. Let's go to the transaction screen, because you can also enter people in your contribution screen too. I'm going straight over to contributions. Right now, the system defaults our filters to 2026. This is simply a filter. This doesn't mean that you're entering transactions for 2026. But as I enter contributions, I won't be able to see them while this filter is turned on. So I'm just going to close out of that, and I'm going to add a new contribution. Okay. So contribution type, we have in kind for contributions, monetary, which is going to be any itemized contributions, reimbursement of expenditures. This is used more in candidate campaigns. When there's a slate of candidates running, there's some reimbursement of expenditures allowed under our statute. And then you have your lump sum, which is your total of $200 or less. Okay. I will show you a monetary. So let's say Sandy gave me $500. I'm just going to pick a date in December. Contributor type, Sandy is not a candidate, a committee, or a party committee. So I'm going to enter her as an individual. So I'm going to select individual, and under contributor search, you can see the only person I have in here is myself, right? So I'm going to add a new contributor. And this is the same information that we are entering in that contributors and recipients screen. It's just a quicker way to do it as you're adding the transactions. It's really a choose your own adventure. If you want to enter all of your contributors so they're in your drop down first, you absolutely can, or you can enter them as you go. Okay. Since she only gave me $500, I am going to skip the employment details, and I am going to create contributor. And now you can see I have, if I close out of her, now I have two people in my individual dropdown. Okay. I'm going to save that transaction. You can see here's that $500 from Sandy. All right. We'll add another contribution. Let's say this is also an itemized of $1,000. And the date of the contribution, this time a different committee gave to me. This committee is registered in the system. So let's say, I don't know, we'll pick the Credit Union Political Action Committee. You can also search in here. So if they give you, you can say Credit Union Political Action Committee, and that search criteria will populate in that contributor search. Save transaction. Okay. Entering a lump sum. So let's say I received a bunch of different $50, $100 transactions, right? And I have a lump sum total of $5,000 that were made up of contributions of $200 or less. I'm going to go my total, 200 or less, enter my transaction amount, enter the date of the contribution, and save the transaction. There's been a lot of questions as whether we should do one lump sum or a bunch of different total lump sums. Our office recommends just doing one total lump sum every time you report, instead of saying like, you know, an anonymous transaction of $50, $100, just total all of those contributions together that are $200 or less, but equal whatever that total lump sum is, and enter it as one transaction. Okay. So that's entering contributions. I'll move over to expenditures. So committees have depending on the threshold, either itemize expenditures or report those in lump sums as well. So just like in the contribution screen, we're going to say I spent $500. We're going to say where the date, And I gave this money to a business or organization. I don't have anything in my recipient list yet, so I'm going to add a new recipient. And I spent this at the advertising LLC business. Okay. Going to put their address in. Create recipient, save transaction. You can see there's that itemized expenditure. Then I gave a bunch of $100 transactions to a bunch of different candidates. Okay. So my lump sum, $200 or less. Let's say I spent $2,000 on contributions in 2025. So we're going to pop that in there and save transaction. So you can see that lump sum of 2,000 and then that itemized of 500 or more. So here's my expenditures. Here's my contributions. Again, the filter is on. Here's my contributions. And then now when I go over to the transaction overview, you can see these beautiful little pie charts that populate with data from the information I entered. If I go into contributors and recipients, you can see that those contributors and recipients that I entered on the transaction screen are also saving here. Okay. Let's say that's all I have to file. Let's say I get done with my expenditures, and when I did the advertising expenditure, I was done. You can go save transaction or save and file report. Save and file report takes you directly to the screen to file your report. Saving the transaction obviously just saves the transaction. So you can kind of navigate towards that report filing by clicking the save and file. If I enter this information and then I go, oh my gosh, actually I spent $600 at advertising LLC, I can edit this. So these 3 ellipses on the right under the actions, if I click that and hit edit, I can change this expenditure amount to $600 and then save, and you can see that gets updated there. So if any corrections need to be made before filing the report, the 3 ellipses edit allows you to do that, or you can delete that transaction too if you enter it by mistake. Okay. So that's entering transaction. It's just rinse and repeat for all of those transactions, right? So however many transactions you have, you're going to keep inserting that information. To file my report, I can do that through the report dashboard screen. So you can see out here, I have the ability to preview and file from out here, or I can go to the reports tab on the navigation menu, and I have the same ability here to preview or file my report. You can see I've entered 5 transactions. So let's preview that. So I'm going to preview. And you can see my contributions, and then these are my here. Oh my gosh, my expenditures. I'm so sorry. I was coming over here where candidates report. So here's my contributions, my expenditures, and then just like Sandy showed, as on the public side, you can see those different pieces of information as you go through the report. So this is a preview. Okay. I'm going to go back and I'm going to file that report. As a committee and a PAC, not multi-candidate committees, not multi-candidate committees, but committees and PACs do have to report a beginning and ending fund balance. If you were registered in our old system and filed a year-end report in our old system, your ending fund balance from the last report you filed was carried through to this year. So if you see any discrepancies, let's preview this report one more time. That starting balance should appear in your report. If there are any discrepancies, please let us know. The spot checking that we've done, this information has been accurate, but if anything looks funky, please let us know so we can get that updated and adjusted for you. Okay. All right. So now I'm required to enter my beginning and ending fund balance. I'm going to check that everything looks awesome, and I'm going to submit my report. It's going to ask me if I'd like to re-register. If you have an ending fund balance, or if you are this is really for candidates. If you're an office holder, you're going to have to re-register for 2026. So I'm going to say, yes, I'd like to re-register because I'm going to continue to do political activity in North Dakota. Brings you to, this is what the registration screen looks like. So brings you straight to this screen. We did find a little bug. It will allow you to register without selecting a year. So please make sure if you are re-registering that you select 2026 so we get you in the appropriate year. So select 2026 in the registration year. I'm not changing any information here. I'm going to select next. My agent is staying the same. Next. Everything looks great. I'm going to acknowledge and update. Yes. Okay. And I get redirected to my summary screen. So you can see here that I've registered for 25 and 26. So here's that information on the administration side. So across again the top, we have the summary, which is my summary registration, my committee document. So this is just an approval document that you get when you're registered in the system. The event log. So if you are wondering if anybody's been reporting or logging in to your system, you can see that under the event log. And then any violations. So any late filing, any fees assigned to your committee based on late filings would appear here. You would also receive notice of that in the report dashboard if you had any violations. And then there's the ability to make a payment and just pay straight from the system. But those are the only violations that are assessed are for late filings. So if you're hitting those deadlines, you shouldn't have any violations. To amend or to change an agent, the UAT site, we're in our testing site, does not have an amend registration button here. But in the production side, if you needed to change any of your registration information, you could do that from this screen. From the administration summary screen, you would have an amend up here, and you could change any of that address, contact information, agent information directly from this screen. Changing your agent here does not give them access to your committee, or does not give them login access to your committee. It simply just changes the contact information that the public sees. Okay. To give somebody else access to your committee, they would need to register within the system. So I'm going to exit the committee to kind of show you how this would work. So I'm going to exit the committee.
And Erica, just to give them an update, the button will be correct registration.
Correct registration. Okay. I didn't know if it was amend or correct. So under dashboard.
It's amend in SOI. It's correct in CFRS.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to go to dashboard. So if somebody else needs access to your committee to file on your behalf, they would need to register within the system, and then they would come to the dashboard screen. They're then able to search by committee name. So if I wanted access, let's say I'm going to help George Washington file his reports. Okay. So I could select Washington. Here's George. So I'm going to select him. And then I'm going to select candidate. It's the only option under here. Don't get too worried about the information here. It's just candidate or committee, and add access. Oh, I'm already assigned to George Washington. Let me see if I'm assigned to, I'm gonna pick on Senator Mathern today in the test system. So I'm gonna select Senator Mathern, and I'm gonna say, I want access to Senator Mathern's committee. And you can see now here, as a user, I have requested access. I can withdraw that request if I select the wrong committee, but now this, and this is just in the test site. So this isn't, I'm not actually requesting access, Senator. So I have now I've now requested access to his account to file on his behalf. The committee or the candidate can then log in, and under my committees, they're going to select their account, and they're going to go to committee users, and you can see here the pending requests and who's approved and who has been removed from your committee. So when we set up training, this is Sandy. She's requested access to Down with the Crown, and I can either approve or reject that here. So I'm going to approve that. And now there are 2 users assigned to this account. and you can easily remove. So if I said, oh, actually, I don't want Sandy in here anymore, I'm going to remove her. And now she's removed and she would have to request that access again. I don't believe this invite users is in prod, but we're not able to invite users, and that has to do with the North Dakota login. They have to be registered with North Dakota login before they're able to gain access to the system. So I don't believe this invite users is out here. That user would have to take the initiative to request that access of that committee, and then the committee can log in and approve that.
And then just for information, what happens on the person you've approved, on my profile, I then have a tile for Senator Mathern or whatever I'm added to. So it just shows up as a tile, just like it does for you for your committees for the other user.
So that would appear here. So if Senator Mathern approved my request, I would then see his account sitting out here.
Erica, did we show them where they can tell what committee they're in?
Yes. So when you log in, this is the committee you're in up here. So you have your user and what committee you're accessing here. Let's go through. I probably should have done a report amendment prior to going through user account access, but let's do an amendment quick to my report. So let's say I filed my report and a couple days later I go, oh my gosh, I forgot about this check that I received from, we'll pick on Lee today, from Leanne Oliver. I received a check from Leanne Oliver and I forgot to enter it. You can come back, log back in, go to enter transactions. We're going to go straight to contributions. So you can see now that I've filed my report. You can see which report they're under and which day I filed those transactions. If it was one of these transactions that I needed to enter or edit or amend, I could click the 3 ellipses and hit amend. But if I need to enter another contribution because I forgot about this one check that I got from Leanne, I would come into add contribution, monetary. Let's say she gave me $350. Individual, we're going to add her as a contribution or as a contributor. And because she didn't hit that $5,000 threshold, I'm not going to worry about her employment details. I'm going to create her as a contributor. And then I'm just going to go, since this is the only amendment I have to make, I'm just going to go save and file report. And you can see here that my report that I had is requiring an amendment. If I preview this, you can see that Leanne was added. In the production side, these will show up as blue. It's not quite working in the testing side, but any amendment you make. So if I edited Sandy's contribution, it would cross this transaction out and add her to and it would be in blue crossed out and the new information would be here. So here's that preview of that report. I'm going to amend that report. Enter my updated beginning and ending fund balance and submit. And I'm not going to re-register since I've already re-registered. Then you can see here, it brings me to my filed report screen, and this little triangle on the side shows you that original and that amended report here. Okay. And that's in filed. Unfiled, this is going to be the next year end, but any report that you have filed under reports is going to be in this filed tab across the top. Any notifications, there's none in our test site, but there is in our production site. Sandy showed you those. The little bell will have a little notice up here. So any notifications will be here. And then again, anything in the help library that is available to you on the public side will also be available in your account on in the committee side. Any questions?
And raise your hand or chat or just go for it and we'll figure it out. Marilyn.
Yes, I was just wanted to confirm that a Fed PAC would just then register as a PAC in the first option, when they're selecting the committee, there's not a separate thing for them? Would they just be registering as a regular PAC?
Do you want to take that one, Sandy, or do you want me
Yeah,
to?
no, I can do that. So if two instances, so just want to give an instance, we will have an email out to PACs later this week, or I'm sorry, a mailing out to PACs later this week. I just want to update, the Attorney General put out an opinion in March about greater filing requirements for PACs. There is some lack of clarity. So the law isn't specifically clear as to what should happen with another section of the code, 3.2, that isn't mentioned in the opinion. So in working with the Attorney General, we are going to put a hold on those requirements until we can gain some clarity, either through an expanded opinion or through legislation. So we're going to send out a letter at the end of this week asking federal PACs to report as they have in the past under 3.7, 16.108, dash 307, 3.7, which is filing their FEC filing. However, when we figure that out and they do have a filing requirement, they will come in and register as a PAC, and we'll work that out in the system. So just for awareness there. And then I want to follow up secondarily. If you've received money from a PAC that's a federal PAC, we are going to add, there isn't in the system yet, but we're working to add business or organization or PAC to the list of contributor types you can select and then add into your address book. For now, if you are submitting a filing and have federal PAC dollars to report, and you want to get that done before we get that corrected, just use the individual, add individual contributor, use the first name, last name, and whatever creative way you come up with to split out that PAC name, and then enter your information that way. That way we can proceed with the filing as we figure out how to work this out. And by the pre-primary, we'll have it all fixed and figured out. Does that make sense, Marilyn? That was a lot. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. That makes perfect sense. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Again, 3 things to remember. If you really do have questions and you realize that later, please call us, email us. We will be happy to walk you through anything. If you want to help yourself, try the help library. There are screenshots of all of those pieces that Erica has walked through. And thank you for patience. New systems are hard because you have to get familiar with what to do where. All of those things are that you remember in the past are in here. We just have to learn where they're at and where to click to find them. So one last question before we depart, Marilyn.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for having this training and walking through the screens. That's like so much easier to understand how to do it when you see somebody else do it than trying to figure it out yourself. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And just to note, those filer PDFs that are in the help library even have handy little spots where you're supposed to click, which I find really helpful, because if you don't know where to click on that big tile for your profile, which is kind of the naming area, it acts like you're not going anywhere. So again, just gaining that familiarity in the system and who clicks where and how do I get to and from pieces is really important. So thanks for joining us today, guys. We really appreciate it. Again, just call 328-4146 if you have any questions. We'd be happy to help.